In the immortal words of Neil Diamond, hello again, hello. I'm not going to sing it. My name is Vince Marotta, and welcome to Episode 6 of Pac Mentality here on ArizonaSports.com. Week 5, of course, is in the books, so what did we learn? We learned that Washington is a pretty resilient bunch. The Huskies were humbled 3 weeks ago in Baton Rouge by LSU, but have bounced back nicely, including Thursday when they upset then 8th-ranked Stanford 17-13. We knew UW quarterback Heath Price was good, but I was a little concerned about his supporting cast on offense. A lot of that concern is going away. Tailback Bishop Sankey, which by the way sounds a lot like a Catholic high school somewhere back east, has run for 247 yards and 3 scores in Washington's last 2 wins, while wide receiver Cason Williams has become a legit threat in the passing game with 16 catches and 2 scores in the same time frame. Defensive coordinator Justin Wilcox has instilled toughness in the Huskies D. They are ranked 2nd in the Pac-12 in total defense, so things are looking up in Seattle. We learned that even though they're winning, UCLA head coach Jim Mora Jr. has a short fuse. Mora berated a UCLA sports information director for letting a cameraman stand in the wrong place during practice. Mora then threw the entire media and the SID crew out of practice following the incident. I'd say beware if things go south for the Bruins, but UCLA's remaining schedule is pretty favorable. Their toughest 2 games are their last 2, but they get both USC and Stanford at home in the Rose Bowl. We learned that Oregon State can also win offensive shootouts. The Beavers continued their dominance over Arizona with a 38-35 win over the Wildcats in Tucson. The defense allowed 545 yards, including over 400 in the air, but they made enough plays to win. With Arizona leading 21-17 in the third, and with all the momentum seemingly on their side, Jordan Poyer came up with a tremendous acrobatic interception to give OSU the ball and the momentum back. Rashad Reynolds sealed the deal by picking off a Matt Scott pass with just under a minute to play to keep the Beavers unbeaten. And we learned that Arizona State is capable of exercising demons. The Sun Devils hadn't won in Berkeley since 1997, but by playing another nearly error-free game, ASU notched the win over the reeling Golden Bears 27-17. Sun Devils didn't turn the ball over for the second straight game and committed only 20 yards in penalties compared to 119 for Cal. We're 5 games in and ASU is still playing smart, inspired football under head coach Todd Graham, who has done an unbelievable job of turning around the entire identity of ASU football in the last 10 months. For the week, I went a solid 4-1 on my picks, missing only the Stanford-Washington game, and hey, I nearly nailed the UCLA-Colorado score right on. For the season, I'm now 32-11, but still in search of that elusive, undefeated week. This week in the polls, 5 Pac-12 teams are ranked. Oregon leads the bunch at number 2 with USC at number 13. The Beavers move up to number 14. Stanford falls from 8th to 18th after their loss to Washington. And UCLA is back in the AP poll at number 25. Arizona State and Arizona both received votes in this week's poll. So on to Week 6 we go. The conference is in the midst of a 4-week stretch of nationally televised Thursday night games on ESPN. Last Thursday it was Stanford and Washington. This Thursday it's USC visiting Utah. I know they're 3-1 and ranked number 13, but USC has been a disappointment in 2012 as far as I'm concerned. The Trojans were pretty generous in a win over Syracuse, allowing 445 yards and 29 points. Then they were manhandled by Stanford before bouncing back and beating Cal in a so-so effort. I'm curious to see if the Trojans can fix what's wrong in their passing game to get Robert Woods more involved. The All-American is averaging just 8 yards per catch. Utah has been much better at home this season, so they'll keep it close, but ultimately the Trojans prevail 27-20. Arizona visits Stanford Saturday afternoon. The Cats' offense played well last Saturday in a loss to Oregon State, but their defense is becoming a problem. Wildcats are ranked 94th in the nation, allowing over 450 yards of offense, and to top things off, safety Jared Tevis, who has been one of Arizona's best players on D, suffered a badly sprained ankle. Stanford will rely on the ground game, which was slowed by Washington, so look for Stephon Taylor to have a big game. Cardinal will hand Arizona their 3rd straight loss, 31-17. Washington State will visit Oregon State in Corvallis. The Cougars did show improvement last week, putting up over 400 yards and 26 points in a loss to Oregon. In fact, Wazoo only trailed by 4 at halftime before the Ducks reeled off 28 straight in the second half. Their opponent, Oregon State, overflowing with confidence after their win over Arizona, especially on offense. Quarterback Sean Mannion is playing as well as anyone in the conference, and his tandem of receivers Brandon Cooks and Marcus Wheaton is the 2nd most productive tandem in the conference. I think we see a similar script for Washington State this week. Cougs hang on for a while, but the Beavers will wear them down. I like Oregon State 42-24. UCLA visits Cal this week, and if last week was a must-win for the Golden Bears and their head coach Jeff Tedford, how important does that make this game? Importance aside, Cal looked disheveled, sloppy, and undisciplined in their loss to Arizona State last week. The Bears rank 104th in the nation in penalty yardage against and dead last in college football in sacks allowed. Furthermore, their quarterback, Zach Maynard, isn't very good. Sure, he's demonstrative when he makes a good play, but those demonstrations are becoming more and more rare. UCLA should win. I like the Bruins 31-21. And finally, the game of the week, Saturday night in Eugene, 23rd-ranked Washington visits the second-ranked Oregon Ducks. Washington's defense, very impressive in shutting down Stanford last week, but they're not facing Stanford. In fact, they're facing pretty close to the polar opposite in Oregon. The Ducks are 7th in the nation in total offense and 4th in scoring offense. The Huskies will move the ball and put up points on Oregon, but they won't have enough firepower to keep up and won't have the full defensive effort to slow down the Ducks. I like Oregon 45-23. There you go, another episode of Pac Mentality. For more insight and observation on the Pac-12 Conference, among other things, sports and non-sports related, you can follow me on Twitter @VinceMarotta. As always, thanks for watching. Enjoy Week 6, and we'll see you next week on Pac Mentality right here on ArizonaSports.com.